I would like to use an example to explore with you the basic characteristics of this type of writing.
Well, here are the first two paragraphs of a sample essay. You can pause the video if you would like to read this essay. As you can see, the essay follows the traditional conventions of academic writing. Namely, it's got an introductory paragraph, and the introductory paragraph starts with a hook. It gives some background information, and there is a thesis statement. So the thesis statement says that the essay looks at the reasons why aspiring school leaders should be required to receive pre-appointment training. From this thesis, you can predict that the writer in this essay is going to talk about the reasons why aspiring school leaders or leaders of educational institutions should receive some form of formal training. And here I've included the first paragraph of the essay. You can see this paragraph meets the conventions of academic writing. As we discussed in the previous video, this writing can be considered academic for its structure because it's been structured in a logical way, starting with a topic sentence at the top here. The topic sentence is kind of an introduction to the paragraph, and the topic sentence in this particular paragraph says that this paragraph is going to be about the nature of responsibility that school principals, university lecturers, or department heads have to take. And the paragraph goes on to talk about the responsibilities named. Staff and building maintenance, staff selection, and latest trends and developments in the education sector. This essay is academic, but it is academic for its structure. When it comes to its content, there are a lot of flaws, and this type of writing might not be accepted at graduate level at university. One of the reasons why it might not be accepted is that this essay is purely based on the opinions and experience of the writer. In other words, you can't find any evidence or facts included in this paragraph. Given the 5 purposes of writing at university that we discussed in the previous video, this essay might be rejected on the grounds that the writer hasn't reviewed any literature and hasn't consulted external sources. The writer is speaking from his or her point of view, and probably some of his or her experiences can't be said that it is true for everyone. And the essay is not based on hard data. It is only opinions expressed in this essay. However, this essay can be made more academic. Here you can see that I've included a quote to make this writing a bit more academic. The quote comes from Bush and Coleman. Later on you will learn that Professor Bush and Coleman are quite established scholars in the field of educational leadership and management. And therefore, I've included a quote from their work in order to support my argument. So, the quote that I've taken is built into my sentence, and the sentence is a bit extended. So now it is the heads of educational institutions do not only deal with educational matters, but leaders in governing boards are also directly responsible for budgets, staffing, and external relations. Including this quote from Bush and Coleman, I've made my argument and my sentence a bit more substantial and stronger. Now let's look at another example of how we can include quotes and make our arguments stronger. You can see here that on the top of that, leaders of educational institutions have to be aware of the latest trends, developments in the education sector so that they can implement best practice in their department, school, and universities. This is a pretty strong academic sentence, but we can make it a bit stronger and more academic by adding some information from external source. So here I have found examples of latest trends and developments in the education sector and included it into my argument. And my sentence now reads like this. On top of that, leaders of educational institutions have to be aware of the latest trends and developments in the education sector so that they can implement the best practice in their department, school, or universities. Specific practices are staffing the teaching program, providing teaching support, monitoring school activity, and buffering staff against distractions from their work. And this quote comes from Leithwood et al. Kenneth Leithwood is a famous Canadian scholar in the field of educational leadership and management. So, including this quote by him adds more substance to my argument and makes it more convincing. You can see that the structure of my paragraph in these examples hasn't changed. What has changed is the content of the paragraph. So, I still have the topic sentence and the three ideas, but I've added quotes to support my ideas. By using the knowledge and experience of established people in the field, I'm standing on their shoulders. The two sources that the writer has used in this essay are these two works. If you find these works and go to the relevant pages, you can see the quotes that the writer has taken. We will later cover how to compose this reference list and what these quotes and words mean. That's the topic of one of our lessons in the future. For now, I would like you to take to these sources and show you the pages and where the quotes come from. So the first work that I have is 7 Strong Claims About Successful School Leadership. The second one is by Bush and Coleman, and it is a book called Leadership and Strategic Management in Education. If you just go to ADA Library, you will be able to view the works listed on the slide. So I just type ada.edu.az, and from here I just go to library. Here we are. So if you just go down to the search engines, and here I'll choose Summons. And if I type the title of the work, it will come up. So let's try the first one. So the first one came up, 7 Strong claims about successful school leadership. So this work is by Kenneth Leithwood, Alma Harris, and David Hopkins. So I'll just click on it to view the work. So here's the article. So I'll take the PDF. Okay, so here we are. We found the article from School Leadership and Management magazine. So we know that the quote that we read comes from page 30. So we'll go to page 30 to see where it is. Okay, so this is page 28, 29, 30. So here's a quote that we saw in the previous slide. So this quote is, specific practices are staffing teaching program, providing teaching support, monitoring school activity, and buffering staff against distractions from their work. Now let's go and search for the second work that the second quote comes from. So again, we will go to Summon. So we know that the work by Bush and Coleman is called Leadership and Strategic Management in Education. So I'll type that in. Okay, here it is. Leadership and Strategic Management in Education by Tony Bush and Marion Coleman. I'll go to this book, and we know that our quote comes from page 9. So I'll go to page 9 to see. So I'll go to page 9 to see the quote. So I'll read it online. Well, here is the book. So let's go to page 9. Well, you can read the whole book if you have time later on, but I'll directly go to page 9 to show you the quote. Well, here we are on page 9, and here we'll see our quote, the exact words that we have taken out of text on this page. So the quote is right here. So leaders and governing boards are directly responsible for budgets, staffing, and external relations. Okay, so this quote says that these practices were impossible in the 1980s, so it's a current trend in educational leadership, that is self-management, distributing power at institutional level. You can read these 2 chapters later on and reflect on the ideas expressed here. I assume that these 2 works will be the first that you read in the field of educational leadership and management, and they will be really useful and helpful in your later studies.